I never thought my life would unravel in a place like Eldridge, Iowa. That sleepy speck on the map where cornfields stretch like endless regrets and everyone knows your business before you do. But there I was, Parker Hayes, 17 and already a headline in the local rag. Local teen charged in hate-fueled assault. It wasn't hate, though. It was love. Messy, desperate. Forbidden love that tasted like stolen breaths and whispered promises under the bleachers. And Evan? God. Evan was the spark that lit the fuse. It started 6 months back, in the fluorescent hell of Eldridge High's sophomore English class. Mr. Hargrove droned on about to kill a mockingbird, all that talk of innocence lost, while I doodled hearts in the margins of my notebook, stealing glances at the guy 2 rows over. Evan Whitaker, tall, with that tousled dark hair that fell just right over his hazel eyes, and a smile that could disarm a bomb. He was the new kid from Chicago, transferred in after some family drama no one whispered about. I was the senator's son, the golden boy who volunteered at food drives and Ace Debate Club, hiding my truth behind perfect veneers. Our eyes locked during a group discussion on prejudice. Ironic, right? He was arguing Atticus Finch's side, voice steady and low, like he knew what it meant to fight invisible battles. It's not about the law, he said, leaning forward. It's about the heart of it. You can't judge a soul you don't understand. I mumbled something about empathy, my cheeks burning, and when the bell rang, he lingered by my desk. Hey, Parker. That was solid. Wanna grab coffee after school? Talk more. My pulse raced like I'd chugged 3 espressos. Coffee turned into walks by the river, where the Mississippi murmured secrets we'd never tell. Turns out, Evan was running from his own ghosts. Divorced parents, a mom who thought moving to Iowa would straighten him out. We bonded over mixtapes of the National and late-night texts about boys we'd crushed on in secret. One evening, under a sky bruised purple, he kissed me. Soft at first, then hungry like we'd both been starving. I've wanted this since day one, he whispered against my lips, and I believed him. For the first time, I felt seen, not as Senator Hayes's polished air, but as Parker, raw and real. But Eldridge wasn't Chicago. Whispers slithered through the halls like smoke. Jake Harlan, the quarterback with a grudge because I turned down his sister for prom, caught us once behind the gym. He didn't say a word then, but his sneer promised payback. Dad was campaigning hard that fall. Re-election for his state Senate seat meant town halls and handshakes, not heart-to-hearts with his son. Mom had died when I was 10, cancer stealing her laugh overnight, leaving Dad to raise me with policy briefs instead of bedtime stories. He loved me, in his way, bragged about my grades, enrolled me in leadership camps, but being gay, that was a footnote he'd never read. The betrayal hit like a freight train on a Friday night. Football game under the lights, crowd roaring as Eldridge crushed Rivorton. Evan and I snuck away during halftime, hearts pounding, to the empty parking lot. We leaned against his beat-up Civic, kissing like the world might end. His hands in my hair, my fingers tracing the line of his jaw, pure fire. Then headlights pierced the dark. Jake's truck screeched to a halt, his buddies piling out like hyenas. Faggots! Jake spat, phone already recording. We bolted, but not before he grabbed Evan's arm, twisting hard. Evan shoved back, self-defense, pure instinct, and Jake went down, nose bloodied. Monday morning, hell broke loose. Jake's dad, a deputy sheriff, spun it. Assault on a minor by 2 queers. Evan got a slap on the wrist. Community service. First offense. Me? They dragged in my troubled history. A school counselor's note about my identity struggles. Leaked like poison. Dad's name made it worse. Rivals whispered about scandal. The cops hauled me in. Fingerprints and mugshot under glaring lights. Evan texted, "I'm so sorry. Fight this. I love you." But when the arraignment came, he wasn't in the gallery. A note slipped under my cell door. "My folks are sending me back to Chicago. Safer this way. Forgive me." Betrayal? That word clawed at me. Evan, my anchor, vanishing like smoke. Dad posted bail but barely looked at me in the car ride home. "What were you thinking, Parker? In public? This could ruin everything." Everything. Not us, his career. I slammed my bedroom door, tears hot and furious. The trial loomed like a guillotine, and I faced it alone, save for Ms. Rivera. The overworked public defender who smelled like menthols and mercy. Weeks blurred into depositions and nightmares. Jake testified with crocodile tears, claiming trauma. His video, blurred for privacy, but it painted us as predators. I took the stand, voice cracking. It was just a kiss. We weren't hurting anyone. The judge, Harlan Whitaker, no relation to Evan, thank God, but a fossil from the old guard, stared down like I was vermin. This community has values, son. Actions have consequences. Closing arguments gutted me. Prosecutor painted me as a threat, a gateway to moral decay. Ms. Rivera fought valiant, citing bias, but her plea for leniency fell flat. Then the gavel. Guilty. 10 years. The courtroom spun. Gasps, flashes from reporters. I locked eyes with Dad, finally pushing through the crowd, his face ashen. But it was too late. Bailiffs yanked me toward the side door, my life in chains. As they marched me out, Evan's face flashed in my mind. Not the note, but his laugh by the river. Love like that didn't deserve this cage. And Dad? For the first time, I saw the crack in his armor, the man beneath the suit realizing he'd lost more than a son that day. Juvenile detention in Cedar Rapids was a concrete purgatory. All gray walls and echoing shouts that drilled into your skull like bad dreams. They shipped me up there the next morning, a van rattling over potholes while I stared out at fading cornstalks, wondering if freedom was just a word now. Intake was humiliation squared. Strip search, delousing spray that burned my scalp. A jumpsuit too big and stiff as cardboard. Hayes, the guard barked. Your daddy's a big shot. Don't make me regret the VIP treatment. VIP meant a single bunk instead of a cell block, but solitude was its own sentence. Nights replaying the trial, the judge's sneer, Evan's ghost. Letters trickled in, mostly from pitying classmates. One from Ms. Rivera. Appealing. Hang tai. Dad's? A stiff note on Senate letterhead. We'll fix this. Focus on rehabilitation. Rehabilitation. Like I was broken goods. No mention of love or pride, or the boy who'd cracked my heart wide open. I crumpled it, but sleep brought Evan anyway. His hazel eyes in the dark, promising forever before he bailed. Evan. The name was a bruise I couldn't stop pressing. Back in Eldridge, we'd planned it all. College in Iowa City, shared apartment smelling of ramen and rain. He'd trace maps on my skin with his fingertips, whispering, "We're getting out, Parker. You and me against the world." Then Jake's truck, the shove, the blood, and poof, gone. I scoured socials from the detention library computer, but his profile vanished. Blocked, ashamed, every what if was a knife twist. Weeks in, a new fish arrived. Tommy, 15 and wiry, with tattoos peeking from his sleeves and eyes that darted like cornered prey. Bunked across from me, he spilled his story over contraband candy bars. Shoplifting to feed his little sister after Mom OD'd. World's rigged man, he said, voice gravelly. Especially if you're, gay. He meant. Tommy wasn't, but he'd seen enough to know the score. We became unlikely allies, trading books and brutal honesty. He pushed me to journal, scribbling pages that poured out like therapy. The ache of Dad's distance, the fire of Evan's touch, the rage at a system that punished love as crime. Rage built steam. Protests simmered outside. LGBTQ groups picketing the courthouse, chanting my name like a battle cry. Dad's office spun it. Senator Hayes committed to justice. Committed. But whispers reached inside. Rivals digging dirt, hinting at family skeletons to tank his primary. I pictured him in Des Moines, schmoozing donors, my mugshot a shadow on his legacy. Then, a visitor. Not Dad, but Evan. I froze in the plexiglass booth, phone heavy in my hand. He looked wrecked, thinner, shadows under those eyes, flannel shirt hanging loose. Parker, he breathed, voice cracking over the line.
Gu, I'm sorry.
The words tumbled, his parents' threats, boarding school threats if he testified. They said it'd make it worse for you. I thought, protecting us both. Lies maybe, but his tears were real, mirroring mine. I love you. Still do. Fight this, I'll come back. I wanted to scream, to shatter the glass. You left me, Evan. Alone in that room. He nodded, broken. I know. Let me make it right. Our time ended too soon. Buzzer harsh. but his promise lingered, a flicker in the void. That night, Tommy smuggled in a radio. We tuned to NPR, catching Dad's interview. "My son is innocent," he said, voice steady for cameras. "The system failed him, and I'll see it corrected." First crack of thunder. But storms brew slow in Iowa. Peel dragged, motions piling like snowdrifts. Inside, tensions frayed. Gang tags on walls, fights over nothing. Tommy got jumped one night, defending a kid they called Fairy for humming show tunes. I waited in, fists flying, earning a week solitary. In the hole, darkness amplified everything. Evan's voice echoing, Dad's absence a roar. I scratched pleas into the wall. "Why me? Why us?" Solitary ended with a summons. "Family visit." Dad finally. He looked older, suit rumpled. Tie askew like he'd slept in it. No handshake. Hug through the barrier, awkward and fierce. "Parker," he choked. "I've been blind. Your mother. She would have fought tooth and nail. Mom." Her stories of civil rights marches. Her quiet pride in my sensitive soul. Tears welled in his eyes. First I'd seen. "I pushed you away because I was scared. For you, for us. But no more." He laid it out. Lobbying the governor, pulling strings with AG contacts. "Harlan's biased as hell, old school bigot. We'll expose it." Hope sparked, fragile as a match. But betrayal's shadow loomed. A guard slipped me a clipping. Jake Harlan recanting? No, Evan's dad, the deputy, under investigation for evidence tampering. Evan's family tangled in it. His silence bought? Evan called again, frantic. "My uncle's the judge's cousin. They pressured me. Said you'd get life if I talked." More layers to the wound. "I'm testifying now, Parker. For you." Courage, finally. But as Dad's plan unfolded, press conferences, legal briefs, doubt gnawed. Was this redemption or damage control? The primary loomed. My freedom a ballot line item. Climax brewed in Des Moines. A hearing on appeal. Dad drove me down, chains off for the day, radio silent. "I love you, son. Gay, straight. Doesn't matter. You're mine." Simple words, seismic shift. But Harlan fought dirty. Leaking psych evals painting me unstable. Evan arrived, subpoenaed, face set like stone. His testimony gutted the room. The video doctored. Jake's bruises self-inflicted. "It was a setup," he said, voice steady. "Hate crime, not ours." The judge, new panel, thank God, recessed, air thick. Dad squeezed my shoulder. "We're almost there." But Jake's glare from the back promised one last twist. The hearing chamber in Des Moines smelled of polished oak and fresh ink. A far cry from Cedar Rapids' bleach and despair. I sat rigid in my too big suit, courtesy of Dad's tailor. Flanked by Ms. Rivera and a phalanx of pro bono attorneys, Dad had rustled up like a political miracle. Evan was across the aisle, avoiding my eyes, his testimony still ringing. Raw, unflinching, shredding the prosecution's house of cards. Jake Harlan slouched in the back, parents flanking him like sentinels. But the wind had shifted. Deputy Whitaker, Evan's uncle, the snake, faced charges now, his evidence unraveling under federal scrutiny. Dad leaned in, breath mints and cologne masking nerves. "This is it, Parker. One more push." His hand on mine, calloused from handshakes, warm with intent, felt like absolution. We talked for hours the night before in a Des Moines motel, him admitting the sins. Burying Mom's old photos because they hurt, channeling grief into ambition, ignoring my coming out at 15 because we'll handle it quietly. "I thought love meant protecting your future," he said, voice thick. "Turns out it means fighting for your now." The panel reconvened. 3 judges in starched robes, faces unreadable as sphinxes. Led Justice Ellis, a black woman with silver streaks and a rep for fairness, cleared her throat. "New evidence warrants review. Mr. Hayes, approach." My legs wobbled, but Evan's nod from across the room steadied me. I recounted it all. Not just the night, but the months. Jake's taunts in locker rooms, slurs scrawled on my truck, the setup born of small-town venom. "I kissed the boy I love," I said, voice steady for the first time. "That's not a crime." Gasps rippled, reporters scribbling furiously. Harlan's lawyer objected, sputtering about irrelevancies. But Ellis shut him down. Love is the relevance, counsel. Or have we forgotten why we convene? Then the bombshell. Audio from the Whitaker home. Leaked anonymously. Evan's dad pressuring him. Judge Harlan's voice on speaker. Keep your mouth shut, boy, or the senator's kid rots. Corruption plain as daylight. Recess stretched eternal, coffee bitter in paper cups. Dad paced. Phone buzzing with ally calls. Governor's office, ACLU heavies. Evan slipped over during a smoke break. Our first real moment alone since the mess. I should have stayed, he murmured, thumb brushing my knuckles under the table. Feared losing you forever. I pulled him close, foreheads touching. You came back. That's enough. Lies? Maybe. But in that fluorescent limbo, forgiveness bloomed tentative, like spring after Iowa winter. The panel returned at dusk, shadows long across the carpet. Ellis's verdict landed soft but seismic. Acquittal. Sentence vacated. This court condemns bias in any form. Cheers erupted. Ms. Rivera whooping. Dad enveloping me in a bare hug that smelled of victory and vulnerability. Reporters swarmed, flashes blinding. But I zeroed on Evan, his smile breaking wide. Free. Finally. But freedom's aftertaste is complication. Dad's primary? A bloodbath. Opponents hammered the scandal. Billboards screaming, Hayes hides truth. Protests swelled. Supporters chanting outside rallies. Counter-hate from church groups. Dad didn't flinch. He leaned in, speeches weaving my story into his platform. Justice isn't selective. My son taught me that. Polls ticked up, irony's gift. Evan and I stole nights in Iowa City, crashing at a buddy's off-campus pad. Walks by the Iowa River, hands laced, talking futures unmarred by fear. Art school in Chicago, he dreamed, sketching me under street lamps. Lines soft, eyes alive. You? Politics, like your old man. I laughed. Maybe, but with heart. Betrayal's scar faded, replaced by something fiercer. Trust rebuilt, brick by brick. Yet cracks spidered. Tommy wrote from detention. Shank fight, shivved bad. I visited, gutted, his arm bandaged, spirit dimmed. World don't change overnight, Parker. Dad pulled strings again. Early release for Tommy. A job at a Des Moines nonprofit. Humanistic ripples, small but real. Dad's win came election night. Confetti in a Des Moines ballroom. Me at his side. Not hidden but highlighted. To my son, he toasted, arm around me, who reminded me what fighting for is. Cameras caught Evan in the crowd, our eyes locking, promise sealed. But the real climax? A month post-acquittal, Harlan cornered me at the Eldridge diner, coffee cold between us. Ruined my boy, he growled, eyes red-rimmed. Jake expelled, spiraling into juvie for real beef. You queers. I cut him off. Your hate did this, Harlan. Not us. No fists, just truth. He deflated, mumbling apology, hollow but a start. Evan waited outside, truck idling. You good? Yeah. For once. Love deepened. Not in grand gestures but quiet ones. Evan's playlist for road trips. Dad's shelf of mom's photos dusted fresh. Betrayal? Forged us stronger, scarred. Alive. Winter gripped Iowa like a grudge. Snow blanketing Eldridge in hush. But inside our lives, warmth spread tentative, like dawn after storm. Dad's re-election locked in a squeaker, but victory tasted bittersweet. Voters swayed by my saga, yet whispers lingered. The gay kid's dad. He shrugged it off over Thanksgiving turkey. Just us two in the big house that echoed without mom. Means nothing if you're not whole, Parker. Whole. That word unlocked floods. Stories of his own youth. A college crush buried deep. Times were different. Vulnerability from the man who'd taught me power suits over power naps. We cried, laughed, healed in halves. Evan split time between Chicago and here, his mom's reluctant thaw paving weekends. We'd drive the back roads, windows fogged, sharing dreams over gas station subs. Marriage equality's law now, he'd say, fingers tracing my palm. But real equality? That's us, building it. Romantic? Hell yes. Picnics by frozen ponds, skates wobbling, his laughter thawing my edges. But emotion ran deep. Nightmares of cuffs still jerked me awake. Evan's arms my anchor. I'm here, he'd murmur, no more running. Conflict simmered subtle. Dad's bill, anti-bias in schools, faced pushback, Bible thumpers picketing the Capitol. I testified, voice amplified by amps and allies. Evan in the gallery, pride electric. I lost months to hate, I told the committee, but gained a family that fights back. Approval surged, but not without cost. Death threats scrawled on our mailbox. Jake's shadow in taunts from old friends. One night, tires slashed, Dad's security detail a new normal. Worth it? He asked over scotch, my first sip, legal now at 18. Every scar, I said, humanistic core, pain as path to progress. Betrayal's echo faded, but Evans lingered soft. A Chicago visit revealed his folks. Stiff dinner, forced smiles. His dad, deputy demoted, avoided eyes. Mom grilled me on intentions. Evans squeezed my knee under the table. Steady. Post-meal, alone in his boyhood room. Posters of indie bands, bed creaking under us. We unpacked it. They broke us once, he admitted, tears hot on my neck. Won't again. Intimacy bloomed emotional, not carnal, vows whispered. Futures sketched in starlight. Lang Man, American style. Drive-in movies, milkshakes shared. Hearts synced to Springsteen. Climax revisited in spring. A national spotlight. CNN special on youth justice. Me and Tommy as faces. Filming in Eldridge's Park, where Evan and I first kissed, stirred ghosts. Jake showed, uninvited, gaunt and gauntlet by rehab. Heard you're famous, he sneered, but eyes hollow.
Evan tensed baisé de me. Camera rolling.
I faced him, famous for surviving you, not rage, pity. He cracked, spilling. Dad pushed me, hated what I saw in you too. Real. Apology stumbled out, raw. Crew captured it, redemption arc, viral. Dad watched the air, arm around me.
Prou, son.
Of all this, Evan and I celebrated on the riverbank, fireflies dancing, his head on my shoulder. Forever? He asked. Damn right, I replied, kissing his temple. Summer brought change. Graduation, cap toss under blue skies, Dad's speech-weaving policy with heart. Evan and I headed to Iowa City, dorms close, majors aligned. Poli-sci for me, fine arts for him. Dad's gift? A used Jeep, keys jingling like freedom. Drive safe. Love you both. Both. Acceptance. Full bloom. Tragedy threaded light. Tommy relapsed. Juvie calling. But we rallied visits. Jobs lined up. Humanistic end. No tidy bows, but growth in grit. Eldridge faded rearview, but lessons lingered. Love defies sentences. Family forges in fire. Years blur now, but that courtroom gavel? Cracked open worlds. Evan and I, married in a quiet Iowa ceremony. Rainbow flags waving, Dad officiating with teary grin. To unexpected saviors, he toasted. I glanced back. The boy in chains became the man in charge, Senator's chief of staff, fighting for kids like me. Betrayal? It birthed this deep, dramatic, defiantly ours. And in quiet moments, Evan's hand in mine, I whisper thanks to the stars. For the fall, the fight, the rise. Because in America's heartland, love isn't just a word. It's the verdict that sets you free.